This is very, very odd, but I also think this is kind of reflective of the direction of the NFL. There's just no buzz. And I would understand a little bit more, Sal, if it was like Carolina and Jacksonville. You've got Mahomes. You've got two great fan bases. You've got, fervent, crazy, lunatic fans, both with Kansas City and Philadelphia. And I think there's a lot of problems with the NFL, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer because as soon as the game pops on, I don't care about the pregame stuff. I don't care about the commercials. I'll be totally immersed in the game once it starts.
Right.
Okay? So I am excited for the game. I'm not saying I'm not fired up for the game.
You having a party or anything?
Yeah, we're having some big, low-key.
Okay, yep.
Couple of our good friends coming over. That's it. Nothing nuts. Obviously, I've got to watch the game for work, but we'll have a few people. And I'm looking forward to it, right? I really am looking forward to Sunday. But I think when you look at the NFL now in the year 2025, I think to a lot of people, and I don't agree with this, but I think some people actually think this, it feels rigged to some people. The quality of play has dropped off. It has dropped off a cliff. I think that there's just a lot of issues that have been mounting for a while that seem to be hitting ahead. The NFL right now seems I know this is crazy to say, seems as insignificant to me as it has ever felt in my lifetime.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying because usually I'd be wrapped up in it, but I don't know if that's because, like I said, the shows aren't there. So Boomer and Gio, let's say, are usually there, and you're listening to them, and you get the feel of Super Bowl week. We're now distanced from it, which I think actually makes the shows better, right? Not being there, I think makes the shows better.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's that, so it's like breaking the tradition of normal Super Bowl week, which has me not as in the mode for the game. But the closer we get, and I listened to Phil on with them this morning, the closer we get and thinking about the party, like, I love Super Bowl Sunday. It's a holiday.
Yep.
It's supposed to be fun. But from a sports talk perspective, where's the passion here with this game, with this matchup? Is it just because of your bets and your prop bets or the Super Bowl boxes? Like, it's more about the holiday and the game and the party and the event as opposed to the game, even with a matchup that is potentially historic with the Chiefs looking for their third straight. I mean, you could argue you can't really get much better. You could have gotten different. You could have had more unique storylines, Detroit, Buffalo, whatever. But, I mean, you got one of the greatest of all time in Patrick Mahomes, one of the great coaches of all time in Andy Reid, with an Eagles team with Saquon Barkley, our favorite running back here in this town, running for an MVP and all that stuff. Look at what Barkley's doing with the Eagles. Rematch from a couple years ago, trying to knock them off. I mean, it's an appealing matchup. So why... I don't get caught up in the ref stuff. I think that is a part of it. Well, but I think the sport is such a beast now because of the gambling. And if you take that out...
Oh, yeah. You take that out, the NFL is not king. I mean, betting is a massive part of this. And that's okay. That's always been baked in. Now we can just do it legally rather than making calls on the quarter before you go into the Garden to watch the Knicks back in the day or the Meadowlands. I mean, listen, I think... Sal, here's what I think. Yeah. I think the arrogance of the NFL is what's hurting them. I really do. And I love football. I love it. But I don't love this version of football, and I don't love the direction of the NFL. And what I mean by the arrogance, like they think, right? They think, we talked about being out there at media, Super Bowl. I've been to 12 or 13. It's overkill. Nobody cares about Anthony Munoz pushing joint pain relief or some 75-year-old Hall of Famer pushing ED pills. Nobody cares.
Paige Sprignac was making arounds yesterday.
Well, we might care about that. That's a little there. Paige can come on the show here. We'll have a chat with Paige Sporadic, talk golf, talk everything. That's good. We want to talk to Paige. But, like, the other stuff, it's so watered down. It's almost obtuse here at this point. And I think when I talk about the arrogance, like they think in their minds, the NFL, that whether you're there or not, that we're going to talk about this every single day. No, we're going to talk about Brunson. We're going to talk about the Knicks. We're going to talk about St. John's a little later. We're going to talk about the Jets and their hirings. We're going to talk about Pete Alonso. We care about other stuff. And the problem with the NFL, I think that, and I understood why they went back to it. I think, Sal, the week off hurts.
Yeah, me too. I think it's an excellent point. I used to love it as a fan, from a fan's perspective.
Yes.
If your team's in it, you get to sulk in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't know, but yeah, I could imagine.
Bask in it for a couple of weeks.
Stretch it out a little bit.
It does hurt. And, you've been on this train the entire season, like not loving the product. And I've talked about it where the lack of preseason games now, the first 4 weeks of the season, maybe even more, are generally sloppy. And we've seen sloppy play carry out throughout the NFL season with the practices being different, all those different things. But But without preseason being the way that it is, really the first 4 weeks, you're seeing teams like kind of learn on the go, which I don't think is good for the product. But in this particular case with the Super Bowl, because that's a different conversation, right? The quality of play or lack thereof from the NFL overall, because we eat it up every Saturday, every Sunday, whenever they're on Thursday night, Monday night, we're consuming it all. But the week off after the championship Sunday, to me, it feels like the end of the season. And then you ramp it back up for a game which is a glorified exhibition in a neutral site, meaning no environment, and it means the most. Like, that to me has been going the wrong way for a while, and maybe as we start to move on, it even further, at least for me, like just further distance itself, because I feel like with Mike and Chris back in the day, it used to mean more. The actual game means more, and we'll talk about Mahomes and his greatness and Reed and all that stuff when they win or if they lose, whatever, and judge them ultimately based on the result of this game, but it doesn't feel like it means as much to me anymore. The season is kind of concluded in my mind, and now we're just waiting for the game to have a party.
Well, think about this, Sal. So you talk about Mike and Chris, and the game used to feel different and bigger back then. I don't disagree. Now, is that because we were younger? Is that because we weren't in the business necessarily yet, and we were trying to break? Maybe there's a couple of different answers. I don't truly know the answer, but I've got a theory, and I don't think the NFL's alone here. Like, you think about the business of sports nowadays, right? What's the biggest story in the NBA? It's not who's going to win the championship. Right now, it's about AD and Doncic,
right, the trades.
It's about, is Kevin Durant going to get moved? What are the Knicks going to do? I mean, Brunson was a killer again last night, and I think not diehard Knicks fans. I'm not talking to you, but I think in general, like, the basketball fans who are in but not all in, they're like, all right, if the Knicks going to make a move, like that kind of usurps the games here. Think about the offseason for baseball, Juan Soto every single day.
Right.
That got more attention than actually breaking down maybe some of the bullpen moves that was made in the World Series, right? And now, of course, Pete Alonso. Now, some people could say, well, maybe you did an hour too much on Pete yesterday. All right, that's fine. But either way, Pete Alonso, whether or not he's going to stay or go with the Mets, is a massive, massive story. And even with the NFL, it always seems to go back to the legacy stuff more than, third down execution, football stuff. The minds have been rewired of the sports fans, and I'm okay with that. I love that content. I love trades. I love speculatory stuff. I truly do. But
there's more drama there. It's a different story.
Yes, but I don't know that we're ever and I'm okay with this. I think I'm just pointing it out. I'm not even lamenting it. I think that the days of the game being paramount, I think it's over.
BT, I remember not only as a listener listening to Mike and Chris, but when I was working on the other side of the glass for Mike and leading up to the weeks, whether we were there at the Super Bowl or even just back here, on the board, whatever, and taking calls all day about, I think the Eagles defense is going to get to Patrick Mahomes, like breaking down the minutia of the matchups of the game, and it's just not like that anymore. Our attention spans are totally different.
Yep.
The way we consume products, the way we, I really do think now, I teach my daughter, I don't teach her to bet, obviously she's 3.5, but when I say, football, she goes, football with daddy.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, football with daddy, football, and then like she'll do this thing like, hockey, like she sees me wearing a Rangers shirt today, she'll go, hockey, let's go Rangers, or Mets shirt, let's go Mets. With football, it's not let's go Falcons or it's let's go daddy's bets.
Yeah, but that's true.
That's who I root for on Sundays. I'm worried about my bets, assuming that I do bet on some of the games. I don't bet the way that I used to. I don't want to get reckless anymore. But you get the point.
Agree.
Like,
me too.
The point is, I'm a football fan. I consume the product. I want to watch 4 games at once, potentially. Obviously, we lock into the Jets and Giants, but you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And these playoff games, and you're betting, that to me is what's kind of really taken center stage on this. It's about the bets and the way you want to play this game Sunday and how you want to enjoy it as opposed to the actual matchup.
By the way, watch how quickly little Sammy starts picking up on Daddy happy, Daddy angry,
which is why I
Daddy
stayed away.
won, Daddy lost his bets. I'll tell you something else too. And you made a really good point. I don't even know if you meant to make it to this degree, but you talk about, and we always talk about, obviously, we're so deep into it, like we reference it like it happened last week. Society's been sped up for 15, 20 years at this point, right? It's nothing new, right? But the sped up nature of society, to have a week off is actually the worst possible thing. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right, for a whole week.
Think about, we want to watch, like, what did we love about the Penguin, or actually no, the Penguin you couldn't binge that. That was old school.
Every
but
week.
the ability to binge most of these shows, it's like let me consume this. Let me watch 3 in a row, 4 in a row. That's how I want to consume stuff. And then we consume football every single Sunday, every Monday, every Thursday, every Saturday as we get into December. And then wait, let me get this straight. We got to wait a week now, and now we got to watch these dopes who shouldn't even be credentialed. I hate to sound like the guy. Get off my lawn. I can't stand media day. These idiots who are dressed like clowns, who have no idea about football. Why? Well, I know the answer, so I'm going to ask it anyway because it's about clicks and money. Why the hell are these idiots allowed to ask questions? Why are they credentialed for the Super Bowl?
Because I think the NFL actually likes that.
They do, and that's why I said it's a rhetorical question, because I know the answer.
I get it. They sit back and they say...
That's part of my frustration with the NFL.
The whole world is going to be focused on us, the clown show or not. It doesn't matter. We reign supreme. You're going to talk about the halftime show and the anthem and media day and Radio Row and all that stuff, and they feel like it's the biggest thing in the world. And maybe it is, but for us, it does not feel the same anymore. BT and Sal on the Fan, 888-808-1019. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Now, if the Jets or Giants were ever to make that game, it would be the biggest thing in the world. Ray is in Shirley. What's up, Ray?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Appreciate you guys always being on. My favorite show by far on the Fan. I've actually had BT on my show before on Netcast. Shout out to you, BT. But if you just want to make a quick point,
nice.
I think it's in regard to what you guys are saying. 2 quick things. I think, number one, stars being traded and moving teams are killing these sports. Look at the NBA, all-time low in television ratings this past season. I don't think it's good. Having a franchise player where you look at is something to help these teams. Saquon Barkley leaving the Giants, going to Philly, I think it killed a lot of fans in regard to that. And then number 2, also, my dad used to be a season ticket holder, believe it or not, for the Nets down in Jersey and with the Jets. And the ticket prices have gotten so crazy, especially when your team's good. Instead of having season tickets now, we're at home watching the games. And once your team's not involved, you're not forced to go to the games anymore. You're not obligated. Other things in life happen. And I think it's taking eyeballs away from the television.
But those are different.
And those are 2 reasons why I think are having big impact.
But those are different, Ray, and thank you for the call.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Ray.
checking in. Those are different as it pertains to the Super Bowl. We're not talking about everybody going to the Super Bowl.
True. You kind of branched out a little bit, but true.
And I don't even think like player movement, like you got the same guy in there with Patrick Mahomes again, with Andy Reid, and even though the Chiefs have had different guys. I mean, look, if the Chiefs still had Tyreek Hill, do you think it would be different, more exciting if they were that version of the Chiefs?
No. Now, listen, I do think they're a little... Well, they're significantly less explosive, so optically they're not as fun to watch.
Maybe
I think there's a little Kansas City fatigue. I think a little bit. Maybe
that is
I think that's part of it. But I think it's bigger than that, Sal.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley changing teams. Yeah, it's going to annoy Giant fans, but I don't think that's the reason why we feel like
I agree.
There's a lack of
I agree with
just
that.
Overall interest in the Super Bowl.
I felt like this for years.
Right.
I really have. Now don't get me wrong, like. When Sunday comes and I'm fired up, I love Sundays. I will always love Sundays. I get the roast beef, the mozzarella, the whole routine. I watch the Jets, I watch the Giants. My fantasy team gets its face kicked in. I lose a few bucks. I win a few bucks. The family, everybody's a football fan in my house. It really is. It's unifying. I do love Sundays, but I think I'm just less tolerant of the stuff around it.
Right.
And like the lead up, the dribs and drabs, I just don't care.
For 2 weeks. Like, it's an actual turnoff. Now, try to come up with a solution, right? How would you fix it? Because we all wish, I shouldn't say we all, you and I at least wish that it went from Championship Sunday to Super Bowl, but you can't go from Championship Sunday to Super Bowl Sunday. Could you make it like Monday night? Could you make it a Thursday night? Like, is that the time off, the 2 weeks feels like it's forever.
It's just too much. You lose sight of the storylines almost in a weird way.
But then how do you shorten that and still have the proper amount of time in between to do the game right? Yeah, well, logistically and also...
Well, they haven't always gone 2 weeks.
And by the way, do we factually know that this hurts or helps the sport? Like, we don't know.
From a viewership perspective, I don't know.
We're talking about you or I, we're over it, but we're also immersed in it every single day, where the majority of people maybe aren't.
Yep.
if the NFL had, statistics to back up it hurting viewership, like millions of people are going to watch the game.
You know what? I know. I'm not telling anybody not to. I'm going to be dialed in like a lunatic when the game starts. I'm not saying that. Listen, my evidence, my data is this. Could it be a little misleading? It could be. But I don't think it is, because I think it's a cross-section of people our age, the demographic of the NFL, and I always reference this. I think this is a very important societal experiment. I have conversations with people like us all the time at gyms, at fields, at everything. And like to a man, everybody's like, the NFL's not what it used to be. I'm not that excited. Like, and I feel like we get that with every sports, and that's a little disconcerting, but particularly the NFL, which seemed to be impenetrable, this force field of protection around the NFL, I feel like that's eroded. I can't prove it, but I think it's eroding a bit, Sal.
Frank is in Syosset. What's up, Frank?
Hey, guys. I got a different take on it. I'm very much into the game, very interested in the game. I have a couple of questions that go through my mind. I wanted to see how you guys feel about it. One question is Philly going to be as dominant against the Chiefs as they were against the Commanders? I mean, did the Commanders deserve to get as far as they did to play the Philly, because they just got blown out? Philly put up 55 points.
So
Another
what?
question. What's that, BT?
No, I'm saying, you mean the Commanders didn't deserve to get there? I mean, the Giants won Super Bowls by being a wild card team with 9 wins. You get what you get.
Okay, no, I just question it because Philly was so dominant.
Gotcha.
Another question that goes through my mind is, are the Chiefs going to use Kelsey in this game, because they didn't use him as much against the Bills? Whether he was double covered or not, I don't know. But I'm interested in the game, and I love the commercial. I love the commercials. I love it.
But what about the 2 weeks leading up to it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about, Frank, and thank you for the call. We're interested in the game as well, although I will say, as I said before,
Not as interested.
I do think it's a glorified exhibition. To me, Championship Sunday is the end of, and I felt this way for a long time, and I think it's even just gotten worse to the point that we've been talking about here. Championship Sunday is the last real football Sunday of the year. This game, and by the way, it's by design, like, this is not for us. Talking about you, the listener. This is not for us. This is for everybody else. This is for my mother, my sister, my niece and nephew. Like, this game is a spectacle for the outsiders, not the people who've been watching 15 games every Sunday, Monday, Thursday for 18 weeks. And that, to me, is not a slap in the face, but, like, that's where I lose it, where it's about the halftime show and the media nonsense and all this stuff. I just want the game. And I wish that the game was being played at one of the home venues as opposed to a neutral site.
You nailed it. Honestly, you and I are in agreement on this, and I don't think we're alone. And it's not about the game. I want to make sure that we reiterate this. Nobody's getting on the air saying, I don't want to watch. I can't wait for the game.
Right.
It's all the other stuff, just the ancillary nonsense that I don't care about. I don't think that you guys care about as much as you used to, and it really does dilute the enjoyment of football a little bit.
Right. And the time off, just the way that they're doing it, to me, might need. And by the way, it's only going to get worse with expansion and all that stuff. The product is going to become even worse. Yeah. But yet we suck it up, and as long as we keep consuming it every Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Saturday, they're going to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Noah Eagle. Welcome to the London Monarchs and the New York Jets here today.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we going with this? What's the limits to it?
That's what we need. 4 more teams in Europe, and that'll really help the quality of play. All right, BT and Sal on the Fan, 888-808-1019. We'll continue with your calls. We'll get into the Johnnies and their big performance last night at the Garden. The Knicks, trade deadline stuff as well. We could revisit some of the Pete conversation that we had from yesterday. A lot to do. Just getting started on this Wednesday. BT and Sal on the Fan.